This is a follow-up video of my ground mount solar system. The reason why I went with these containers, because I didn't want to drill holes in the wall, in the ground, and that seemed more permanent than this route. This could be moved or taken down quickly if needed be, and the containers moved to the back of the yard out of the way. Now, the other reason I was going to try and put like a trash bag in each container and then pour the cement, and then I would have to buy less containers. But is how I actually built this was I got the containers. As you can see, I cut the hole out of the bottom, turned them upside down. The 5-gallon buckets were normal, but being the ground is so uneven, it looks flat, but it's got little mounds and dips, that I lined up all the buckets and totes and put posts in them with no cement and build my frame. That way I could to keep these cross braces straight. I just screwed them to the post where they were freestanding kind of, and I put all the bracing in, then I poured the concrete. Now if I would have put the post in, concreted them in, they would be straight up and down, and then I'd have to level the ground on each container or bucket, and that just seemed like a lot of work. This way I just made the frame however the angle was or the level of the ground, then I screwed it in, made sure it was pretty flat, and then added the concrete after building the frame. Is why this one looks crooked leaning to the front. I did that on purpose because you could see that the panel is almost flush with this because I leaned it forward this way. Now this one I did first, where all the posts are pretty much straight up and down. You could see the gap there. No biggie, but it's still gonna hold. But I think this bucket, you could see that I added this later, and I did pour the concrete in and set the post, and then I rolled it into place. But in order to get it flush up here, I had to add a piece of tile to get the bucket to level out, so this would be level up here. But I just found it easier to build the frame first with no concrete in the post, and then pour the concrete afterwards. But all I was worried about was the cross being straight across. And the other thing, I went higher on this one, was I found that mowing the grass under here was a little more difficult than this one. So that was my reason for going a little higher. But you can see that this part of the yard is higher, then it goes lower, and then goes back higher. So if I were to make the post, set the post in the containers with concrete first, I would have fought hell to get the post and cross beams lined up. I'd have had to do a lot of work on the ground to get that level. See, on this array, this bucket and that bucket I put in later, but it was only original six containers, and I did set the post in the bucket and put some cement in it and rolled it up there to get it flush. And this one here, I put the bucket down, put the post in, and you can see that it's not straight up and down, and then I screwed it to the cross beam, and then I poured the concrete, so I didn't have to worry about the bucket being level to where the post was flush with the cross beam. It just made things so much easier. But yeah, I wish I could have used less containers and buckets, but then again, if I were to have used a trash bag per se, filled the container up, put the trash bag in the container, filled it up, I'd have had to wait 2 days for the concrete to harden. So, you know, how long would it have taken me to build this? That was the other thing I was thinking about. This didn't take but a few hours. I hope this video doesn't turn out to be too long and I'm not saying things over and over again, but my main concern was the crossbeam being straight, level, and how it looked from the front, all uniform. I wasn't too concerned about the post being straight up and down or crooked or leaning forward this way or this way too much. It just made life easier putting the post in the bucket without the cement, and then I could have it flush up against the cross beam where it wasn't binding and twisting the cross beam. And when I learned to do that was because this is my first post I did, and I put the post in, cut it to height, put it in that bucket, and then when I started making it, putting the cross beam, I realized how crooked the ground was. So if I would have set post and concrete on the bucket, it'd have just been hard. So the rest of them, I added the buckets, and this one I had for another project that I decided to use, and that's why the post was poured in the bucket with the cement. But yeah, that's my reason for doing it the way I did. Now this contraption, I'm no carpenter, but if there's any comments or suggestions, I'd be gladly to read them. But it works, and it's easy to tilt. It's on the west facing right now in the morning, and that's all it takes is to go to the east. And so at night, or when a storm comes, a small storm, I'll face it down here. Like I said, I put that clamp on there, and then it won't tighten that down and it won't move. But yeah, I think a hurricane comes, I'll take these down. But I think them are pretty safe. And if need be, I can go back and just add more buckets. But yeah, I'll check out the Walmart thing. That's a good idea. yeah, I can just easily add more buckets, more concrete. But thanks for the comments and the views.